tears. You know, some of you men are so scared of tears. The minute she starts to cry, you surrender. Hello, you come to me, I'll tell you what to do. Let her cry, Lord. In fact, the more she cries, just hold her in your arms and pet her. It's okay, sweetheart. It's okay, sweetheart. But you do whatever it is that you want to do. Tears are never to be used to manipulate people. Huh? You don't want to be like a Samson, so strong, so male. Cry, cry, cry. Lord, anything you want, Lord, I give in to you, Lord. Is that the type of man you want to be? That's not the model of a godly man that God wants a person to be. So you must understand this. So men, adjust your expectations as well, okay? You expect women to cry, and that's why you are raised by God to be the protectors, to help us know how to handle these things that are there. Number 7, oops, this thing disappeared, huh? The next thing is to realize that women's blood contains more water, according to what he says. That means that is about 20% fewer red cells. Now, red blood cells, you understand, supply oxygen to the body cells. So as a result, women tire more easily, and she's more prone to fainting. In a working day in British factories under wartime conditions, when they increased the work hours from 10 to 12 hours, what happened was accidents occurred. Accidents among women occurred, increased 150%, and accidents among men, none at all. So you can see, just increasing the work conditions, work hours from 10 to 12 hours, you're more prone to tiredness, which means over time, especially when you're working with machines and etc., please don't. You might lose your finger, you might lose any of these things. You have to live and abide by the limitations that God gives to us. And so, remember, you're more tired more easily, so you expect the men to go on a little longer, but it seems that we women seem to have more endurance than some men, especially in housework. After a while, they get so tired, want to give up. Whereas we women, no choice, right? But basically, this is what it is. Number 8 now, in brute strength, women are 70% above men. That means in a battle of strength, you understand that women, you're not expected to win. I mean, all things being equal. I'm sure you understand. You can, I can be any small child. Hands down, any, you know, whatever it is, but they grow strong real fast. And what that means is, when it comes to doing heavy things, don't need to prove that you're stronger than a man, When they come to moving chairs, and they'll let the men do it. When it's heavy books, they want to carry, give it to them. I shove it into their arms, carry, you know, and then you walk. One of the things is, one time one of my sisters came into our house, and what happened was her husband came in just carrying a bouquet of flowers, and then behind came my poor sister lugging 2 heavy bags of groceries. That is not recognizing the differences that man has, that God has put inside. So you men being called to carry heavy things, you shouldn't be grumbling. In fact, you should build up your biceps and your triceps, right? In order to be the proper gentleman, be that manly, strong man, that strong refuge that women can run into, okay? Next thing to understand is a woman's heart beats more rapidly, 80 times per minute versus 72 for men. Our blood pressure, it seems, is 10 points lower than a man, and it varies from minute to minute, but we have much less tendency to high blood pressure, at least until after menopause. And so, if I were a doctor, I'll tell you the implications, but since I'm not a doctor, I'll just leave it as that. The next thing is her vital capacity or breathing power is lower. And then the last part, she stands higher temperatures better than does men. Our metabolism slows down less. Now, what this means, it can be very practical. You may love one another a lot, but you can kill one another fighting over the aircon, Because what is the woman always doing? Raising it up because it's so cold. And what is the man doing? Raising it down because it's so hot. In fact, James Dobson said he and his wife almost had a fight over the thing. They almost, I didn't know whether they divorced or not. I can't remember. Almost wanted to. And you might think, what? Over these small things? But this is it. It's the small things that drive you crazy. It's the small things which, if you don't know how to deal with, can destroy your marriage. This follows a principle in the Song of Solomon, where in the Song of Solomon 2:15, it has been said, catch us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, our vineyards that are in bloom. Small little things will destroy marriage. And things like that, which are physical. You see, once you accept that, you reach a happy compromise. And this is where either the woman wears a coat, out of love for her husband, or husband just takes off your shirt and be Tarzan, lo. Walk around the house so that you are not quite as well. You understand the compromises in a sense that you must make. These compromises are fine. This is just recognizing the differences that are there. And so please understand, small little things like fighting over temperature also can break up a marriage, and it contributes to what tearing down a marriage which is already in trouble. You might think you begin by loving one another, you end up hating one another. True or not? And you wonder, how did it begin? It began because you did not watch out for these small little things which you should know and you should be able to accept, and then you learn to adjust. Now, your man and your woman will be different in many of these ways. Although this is generally what's true, yet you know each person's individual response to this will be different. So you can go back and talk through these things with your own spouse or with your spouse-to-be, and then you realize that. In order to enter into the type of marriage that God wants us to have, you have to recognize, first of all, know these things, number one. Number two, you need to value these innate differences. And the emphasis is on the word innate. These are God-given. No point fighting over these type of things. Okay? And so when you realize is that, then you submit to what God has done. To fight over these things and expect your spouse to change in these type of things is to fight against God. Okay? You can't tell me, I hate your face. I wish you change your face. Who are you fighting against? You're fighting against God. There's nothing I can do to my face unless you do cosmetic surgery. You understand? Or take a knife and slash yourself out. That's not what you want to do. So when you think about things like that, people, you know, like a balding hair, you know, or whatever, or certain things you must understand, you're supposed to just leave it because there's nothing anyone can do about it. Okay? Other things you can do about, you try as much as possible, and you need to learn how to deal with that. Alright, so you know, first of all, you need to value the differences, and you need to learn what they are, and then move in the light of all these things. The next thing to realize that in communication, men and women differ tremendously, and so you find that women and women have no problem talking with one another. Isn't that so? Right? We natter all the way through. Yet when we come to talking to men, you find out, you wonder why your husbands tend to switch off and not listen to you. And there is a reason why. So you must learn also how to communicate, because when you don't know how to communicate well, you notice marriages have broken up because communications have broken down. So you need to learn communicational skills as well. Apart from the physical differences, one of the other major difference that we have is the communicating differently in every way. And so one of the things you need to understand is that let me just mention these things. I do want to tell you this story because it is very helpful for you to understand this. There was a young couple who after their honeymoon for 2 weeks, you're settling down into married life. Problems begin very early, okay? And so she was in bed, they were in bed, her head was on his shoulder, and so after a long silence, she asked her husband, you men must be always prepared for questions like this. She asked her husband, what are you thinking? Be very smart. My advice is, at that very second she asked, think of her and say, I'm thinking of you. Okay? I'm telling you to be smart, because, and then she'll smile, then she can continue to share with you things that are not there. Well, this man had no one to advise him, and so immediately what he said was, oh, I was wondering what I should tell the boss tomorrow when he asks me about that project I was working on, right? Normal what? You guys already, you know, I'm home, I'm going to go to work tomorrow, I better start thinking, right? Very normal, typical masculine reply, and very female question. Unfortunately, when two are brought together like that, it's apt to produce problems. Because what? Here I am in your arms and you're thinking about work? So you understand, she said, oh. Then she waited. Any man with a grain of knowledge of how the woman's mind works will know that she's waiting for him to ask, but you, what are you thinking about, honey? That's what she's waiting for. Did this man know? Of course not. Instead he said, are you going to fix supper pretty soon? This, between clenched teeth, she flatly monotoned, maybe in a little while. Well, he offered cheerfully, I'll be glad to teach you how to fix cheese dogs. With an innocent offer, she blew up. And he's thinking, what did I do to make her so angry? She's unreasonable. And she thought, this man I married